the small habits that change our lives. Welcome, dear listeners, to Senior Zenith Health, your trusted companion on the journey to a healthier, happier life as we age. I'm your host, and today I want to share with you a story that isn't just a cautionary tale, but also a call to action and hopefully a spark for change. Imagine this. You're 65, living a quiet life in the suburbs of Dallas, Texas. You worked hard all your life, maybe raised a family, enjoyed your favorite foods, and tried to squeeze joy out of the simple pleasures. A glass of bourbon on Friday night, a few grilled burgers with the neighbors, an occasional cigar during family gatherings. Maybe you told yourself that you deserve to indulge a little now that retirement has come around. Our story begins with Mr. John Anderson. He's a warm-hearted grandfather, loved by his grandchildren for his homemade pancakes and fishing stories. John's wife, Linda, is the glue of the family, always reminding him to slow down, eat better, and take care of himself. John would laugh, pat his belly, and say, "I'm still standing, aren't I?" But beneath that cheerful exterior, John was making small daily choices that, over the years, quietly added up. It's the kind of story that's all too common in America, and it's the kind of story we rarely talk about until it's too late. John's days were busy, even in retirement. He'd wake up, skip breakfast, and just have coffee. Lunch would be whatever was in the fridge, usually processed meats, leftover pizza, or a salty can of soup. Dinners were hearty but often heavy, fried chicken, mashed potatoes, and plenty of butter. Sometimes, he'd cap off the evening with ice cream or a couple of beers while watching football. He rarely exercised, telling himself that mowing the lawn once a week or walking to the mailbox was enough. Family meals together grew rare as the kids moved away, and John relied more and more on takeout and microwave meals. He figured, at my age, why not enjoy what I want? But over time, John started noticing changes. Little things at first. He felt tired more often, struggled with indigestion, and started losing weight without trying. He blamed it on getting older, and maybe on the stress of having so much time to think after a busy career. Linda worried. She'd mentioned the pale look on his face, the way he'd grimace after a big meal. John shrugged it off. But the truth is, many of us ignore these early signals. We downplay discomfort. We tell ourselves we're just getting old, and that aches and pains are just part of the journey. One night, after a heavy dinner, John felt a deep ache in his stomach that wouldn't go away. He had trouble sleeping, and by morning he was still uncomfortable. Linda insisted this time he'd see a doctor. The appointment led to tests, then more tests, and finally an endoscopy. When the results came, the world seemed to stop. The doctor sat them down and gently explained. John had advanced stomach cancer. The tumor had spread. Treatment was possible, but the prognosis was serious. John's reaction was shock and disbelief. How could this be? I thought I was just slowing down, not dying. The doctor explained something that I want every listener to hear clearly. Stomach cancer in its early stages is almost invisible. The signs are subtle. Fatigue, indigestion, a little weight loss, maybe a sense of being full faster than usual. These are easy to miss, easy to brush aside. But what we eat, how we manage stress, how often we move, and whether we get regular checkups, these small choices matter more than we know. The hidden risks in everyday habits. Let's take a moment to unpack John's story, because what happened to him isn't rare. In fact, thousands of Americans, especially seniors, are diagnosed with stomach cancer each year, and often they don't realize they're at risk until disease has progressed. 1. The American diet dilemma. John's diet, like that of so many older Americans, was shaped by convenience and tradition. In our fast-paced culture, it's easy to rely on processed foods. Frozen dinners, deli meats, salty snacks, and sweet sodas. They're quick, tasty, and seem harmless, but they're loaded with preservatives, trans fats, and sodium. Over time, these substances damage the stomach's lining, inflame the digestive tract, and create an environment where abnormal cells can take root. Processed and salty foods, smoked meats, and pickled products all raise stomach cancer risk, something most people don't realize until it's too late. John rarely thought about the nutritional value of his meals. Breakfast was optional, lunch was a sandwich or a hot dog, and dinner was whatever sounded good. He didn't pay attention to portions or balance. Like many, he thought heartburn or an upset stomach was just a normal part of aging. 2. Alcohol and tobacco double jeopardy. After retirement, social drinking became more common. John would have a cold beer after working the yard or a glass of whiskey with old friends. He wasn't a heavy drinker, but over the years, the habit stuck. Alcohol irritates and damages the stomach's protective lining, making it vulnerable to ulcers, infections, and abnormal growth. John also enjoyed the occasional cigar, especially on holidays. He thought, what harm could a few cigars a year do? But tobacco smoke is full of carcinogens that travel through the bloodstream, weakening the stomach's defense and making it more susceptible to cancer. The combination of alcohol and tobacco is particularly dangerous, a fact supported by decades of research. Even small amounts, repeated over years, can double or even triple your risk. 3. Stress and emotional well-being. We don't talk enough about the impact of stress, loneliness, and anxiety on our physical health. Retirement is often romanticized, but for many, it's a time of uncertainty. John worried about finances, about staying relevant, about his health and the future of his family. He slept less, grew irritable, and sometimes found it hard to relax. When we're stressed, our bodies release hormones that increase stomach acid and slow digestion. Over months and years, this can lead to chronic inflammation and, eventually, cellular changes that set the stage for cancer. John's sleepless nights, his worries, and his tendency to bottle things up only made matters worse. 4. Sedentary lifestyle. Physical activity is crucial at any age, but it's especially important as we get older. John's only regular exercise was yard work or the rare walk around the block. Most days, he spent hours in his recliner, watching TV, reading, or napping. A sedentary lifestyle slows the metabolism, weakens the immune system, and makes it harder for the body to repair itself. Regular movement, brisk walks, light stretching, gardening, can dramatically lower cancer risk, help manage weight, and boost mood. 5. The silent threat of Helicobacter pylori. Finally, let's talk about something many have never heard of, Helicobacter pylori, or H. pylori. This bacteria infects the stomach lining and is incredibly common. Many contract it unknowingly, sometimes in childhood, from contaminated water, or even from close family members. H. pylori is a major risk factor for stomach cancer. It causes chronic inflammation and, over years, can damage cells until they turn abnormal. Testing for H. pylori is simple, but few think to ask their doctor about it until symptoms are severe. The turning point, when life forces us to wake up. Let's pause for a moment. How often do we wait for a crisis to force us to act? For John Anderson, everything changed the day he received his diagnosis. It wasn't just a shock to him, it shook his entire family. His grandchildren, who always thought Grandpa was invincible, suddenly saw him differently. Linda, his wife, tried to hold back tears but struggled to imagine a life without her best friend. The hospital became a place of reflection. John replayed years of choices in his mind. Every skipped doctor's appointment, every greasy meal, every moment he ignored Linda's gentle reminders now felt like a mistake. He wondered why he hadn't listened sooner. Why he, like so many others, only took health seriously when faced with illness. During his first days of treatment, John met others walking a similar path. Some were younger, some older, but all shared the same look of regret and resolve. It was here, amidst the hum of hospital machines, that John made a promise. Not just to himself, but to his family and to anyone willing to listen. If I get a second chance, I'll do things differently, and I'll make sure others don't have to learn this lesson the hard way. He started to ask the right questions. What could he change, even now, to improve his odds? How could he use his story to protect others? And most importantly, how could he make the rest of his life, however long it might be, an example of hope rather than defeat? The road back, rediscovering health, one step at a time. John's journey was far from over. Treatment was difficult, but it also gave him clarity. For the first time in years, he realized how much he had taken his body for granted. With Linda's encouragement, he worked with his doctors and nutritionists to transform his lifestyle. He learned the power of food as medicine, John swapped salty snacks and fried foods for whole grains, colorful vegetables, and lean proteins. He discovered that fresh berries could be just as satisfying as ice cream, and that grilled salmon tasted better than any fast food burger. Linda began to experiment with herbs and spices that made every meal an adventure. Mealtime became a ritual of gratitude, a celebration of every bite, every new day. He reconnected with movement. Instead of spending hours in his recliner, John began walking every morning. At first, it was just a stroll to the end of the driveway, then a walk around the block, and eventually longer walks in the neighborhood park. On sunny days, he'd invite his grandchildren to join him, turning exercise into quality family time. He even tried gentle yoga and Tai Chi, laughing at his own clumsiness but relishing the feeling of being alive. He tackled stress head-on. John learned breathing techniques, listened to guided meditations, and started keeping a gratitude journal. Each night, he and Linda would share 3 good things that happened that day, no matter how small. Over time, John felt lighter, more resilient, and even hopeful again. He stayed proactive with his health care. John became a champion for regular checkups, not just for himself, but for everyone he knew. He talked openly about the importance of screening for stomach issues and asked his doctor about H. pylori testing. When a neighbor complained about heartburn, John didn't just listen. He encouraged action. For the first time, John truly listened to his body, respected its limits, and appreciated its quiet warnings. Every small victory, a good meal, a day without pain, a deep breath, became a reminder of how precious life is. A message to the senior Zenith Health community. Dear listeners, John's story isn't unique, but the lessons are powerful. At Senior Zenith Health, we believe it's never too late to make a change, never too late to invest in your own well-being. The risks John faced, poor diet, lack of exercise, stress, and unaddressed medical issues, are challenges we all face at some point. But here's the truth. You have the power to change your story, starting today. You don't have to wait for a wake-up call like John's. The journey to better health isn't about overnight transformation. It's about small, consistent steps. Swapping out one unhealthy snack for a piece of fruit. Adding a 10-minute walk to your daily routine. Scheduling that checkup you've been putting off. Taking a moment each day to breathe and let go of stress. These simple acts, repeated daily, can transform your life and may even save it. Don't let the fear of the unknown keep you from seeking help. Many stomach cancers, if caught early, can be treated successfully. Symptoms like ongoing indigestion, unexplained weight loss, or persistent discomfort should never be ignored. If you haven't been tested for H. pylori, ask your doctor about it. Encourage your loved ones to take care of themselves, too. And remember, your health is not just a gift to yourself, but to everyone who loves you. Living well, aging well, practical advice for every senior. Let's get practical. If John could sit beside you now, here's what he would tell you. Prioritize what you eat. Choose fresh, unprocessed foods whenever you can. Make meals colorful with a variety of vegetables. Limit salty, smoked, and pickled items. Don't be afraid to try new recipes. Cooking can be an adventure at any age. Move your body every day. You don't need a gym membership or fancy equipment. Walking, gardening, stretching, or even dancing in your living room counts. Movement is medicine, especially as we age. Find healthy ways to manage stress. You deserve peace of mind. Whether it's meditation, prayer, a hobby, or just spending time with loved ones, make space in your day to relax and recharge. See your doctor regularly. Prevention and early detection save lives. Talk openly about any changes in your digestion, energy, or appetite. Ask about screenings, including for H. pylori. Stay socially connected. Loneliness can be as harmful as any disease. Reach out to friends, family, or your community. Volunteer, join a club, or call a neighbor. You're never too old to make new connections. And most importantly, never give up hope. A diagnosis is not a sentence. With the right care, the right mindset, and the support of loved ones, every day can be meaningful. Every new sunrise is another chance to start fresh. The legacy of a healthier life. As John's treatment continued, he realized his story could inspire others. He and Linda decided to start a small support group for seniors at their church, where they shared healthy recipes, swapped stories, and encouraged each other to stay active. What started as a handful of people soon grew into a vibrant community, each member bringing their own wisdom and experience. John became known not just as a survivor, but as a mentor, a beacon of hope for others who were struggling. He spoke at community events, recorded podcasts, and wrote letters to friends. "Don't be afraid to live differently," he'd say. "The best years of your life can still be ahead of you." Through all the ups and downs, John discovered that health isn't just the absence of disease. It's the presence of joy, purpose, connection, and gratitude. It's about listening to your body, honoring its needs, and celebrating every day you're given. Dear friends, as you listen to this podcast, I hope you feel empowered. Whether you're facing a health challenge right now or simply want to age gracefully, remember, your daily habits have incredible power. It's never too late to make a change. Let John Anderson's story be a reminder that even small steps, taken consistently, can lead to big results. You are never alone on this journey. Senior Zenith Health is here to guide, support, and celebrate with you every step of the way. Take care of your stomach, your body, and your spirit. Share this episode with someone you care about. It might be the nudge they need to see a doctor, take a walk, or cook a healthy meal. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Senior Zenith Health. Your health, your happiness, and your years ahead matter more than you know. Until next time, stay well, stay hopeful, and remember, every day is a new beginning.